Hi guys, we love you here. Just talk a little bit about the Chris Watts and his second confession. Now, I was just thinking about that, and remember he was looking into new evidence that might help him get a new trial. You know, behind the scenes, people are helping him, even though he made a plea deal. Now, remember, he was convicted of murder plus tampering with the bodies and removing them from the scene of a crime. Right, remember that, guys. Now, remember the first confession. He was saying his wife strangled or smothered the children. And he see this on the baby monitor. And as to his second confession, that he did not tamper with any corpse other than his wife, right? Because he said he killed them, strangled them at his works site on CV 319, Survey 319. Well, we don't know if that confession is just a complete lie or not. And the reason why he may have said this, because, well, first off, he didn't know that the detectives were coming to talk to him that day. It was kind of like a surprise for him. But he has talked to friends and family members, and as we know, that woman, Anna, has been visiting him in prison and writing letters and maybe talking over the phone. And, well, is there grounds for appeals and whatever? I mean, we know there is 99% no to that. But the thing is that I'm getting at is he admitted to something that never happened. Admitting guilt for tampering with a deceased persons. The only one at the time when he made that plea deal was all three were dead. All three of them. But in fact, only one was. So he got charged for all three of them for tampering with a corpse and moving bodies from the scene of a crime. In fact, his second confession, he didn't do those things. Now, do you follow me? Yeah. So, which is it? Could that be grounds for an appeal? Because he kind of confessed to something that he didn't do. Now, I don't know if the investigators looked into that after, because that's what he was charged for, and that's what he got sentenced for. Those were plus years, like 12 years each, for removing a corpse from the scene of a crime. But in his second confession, that didn't happen, because he said they were alive. So I'm just putting it out there because I was thinking about that. Now, what do you think, guys? Has anybody else come up with that idea? That theory that he may have just said that they were alive because he thinks it may get him some kind of appeal on those grounds alone, that they were not dead when he took them out the house, yet he was charged and convicted of that. It's just a bit mind-blowing. I'm just trying to think how he's thinking, and maybe the family are coming up with ways to get a appeal of some kind. Not saying he will, but he's coming up with some ideas. Now, whether that was true or not, I have no idea. But the thing is, I do believe they were dead when they came out the house, but there could be one was alive. One. Because of his statements. He's always saying Bella was doing this and said that. She's the only one that's talking. He doesn't say Cece ever said a word. Now, in the light of things, the other day, when the Rusek, Frankie Sr., made a public announcement, got on the news and made the statement of, being harassed, and he would like his family to be left alone to grieve. And he's had hate mail and been threatened and all kinds of things. And I don't know why people would harass him. Now, he states social media are keeping this case alive. Well, it's not just social media, people on, Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube that are keeping this case alive. A lot of people are trying to figure this case out and how it went down. It just happened so fast, and it was over so fast. And it's because there was no trial. And it just got the world's attention. And, and a lot of people aren't satisfied with his story of events that happened. And we may never know the whole truth about what happened, just bits and pieces that he's putting out there. And, he lied the first time around, he's lied the second time around. But the first time around, he never said a word. And like I said, he didn't know that they were coming to interview him, talk to him. How you doing? How's Wisconsin? How's Waupun? You know, no. There was another reason why they went there. But the questions they asked were limited. And on a few subjects, questions he was asked, he's not going to elaborate on that. He shut that one down. But there could have been better questions to be asked. But even though he didn't know they were coming, he sure had a story to tell. Like, he was just talking away. He had a lot to say for somebody that didn't know they were coming. Like, he had this story in his head if they were to ever come to talk to him or anybody, that he was going to change the story, the events, how it happened, to make it worse. Because, when you strangle your kids and kill them right away like that, they never asked him, well, are you sure they were dead? Did you feel their pulse? Was it not breathing? Because their brain was alive still, and their body was warm still. If that indeed happened that way, he killed them, and then went straight up there and put them in the hatch right away. Well, they could have been alive still, but passed out, from being strangled, but not dead. That quite could have happened. Now, why didn't he ask that question? Because the way he said it happened so fast. He strangled her quickly, took her out the car, and put her in the oil right away. I mean, both of them, right away. No, I don't think that ever happened that way. But just in case it did, like I said early in the video, he got charged with tampering with these two children's corpses and taking them out of the house, and that didn't happen. And he got charged for that. He got years for that alone, 12 years apiece. That's what he got for that one. So going back to Frankie, he made a statement to say, please stop, get this case over with, But I'm not being mean about this, but people can watch what they want to watch, the same as they can. They don't have to go on Facebook and read messages. They don't have to go on Twitter. They do not have to go on YouTube and click on people's videos. They don't have to do that. And the reason why they agreed to his plea deal was to get this case over and done with and sentence him to life in prison and it'd be over. But the thing is, it's not over because you didn't have a trial. You will never know the true story of events. But having a trial, you could have got them out of him. There would have been more of an investigation, and whatever they had in their investigation would have came out. A lot of it, not saying all of it, because you know how they are. That would have come out, and that would have put their minds at ease a little bit, knowing a little bit more how the events went down. And who knows? He may have took the stand in his own defense and told the jury what happened in his words. But the thing is, the Ruseks are on social media. They're on there all the time. Well, you can't have it both ways. And another, you're going on TV shows, you're making documentaries, that kind of thing. But you don't want all this attention. Yet you are not putting a close to it, right? And now you come all the way from Carolina to Frederick to the home to make a statement. Now, if that's not bringing attention, I don't know what is. You could have stayed in South Carolina, and did that there. But you came all the way to Frederick. Well, maybe you had some business there, with the home and all that and the other. But you brought more attention. Once again, yourself. And I really don't know why he did it. You could say, that was his chance to tell the public to shut this down, stop talking about it. But he can't do that, you see, because people's not going to listen. Crimes have been talked about for years. Jack the Ripper, any crime, way back when. Bundy, all these serial killers, all these killers, high profile, they will never be out of the media, and people will never stop talking about it. And so it's tragic that it happened to his family, but many other families are going through the same thing, like he said, and nobody will stop talking about it. Nobody. And it's an unfinished case. It's very unfinished. And so we're intrigued about it, this case. But the ones that are given the hate, disgusting people that do have groups and, really degrade the family, the dead and the living, and call them all kinds of names. Yes, those abusers, those haters, yeah, they're out there. But there aren't that many of them out there. There's more supporters and there's more people talking about the case in general, and that's just how it's going to go. Nobody's going to stop talking about it, not completely. And, Colorado, the detectives that went to Wisconsin to talk to him reopened wounds. Yes, they did. They reopened wounds and went there to talk to him and stirred the pot again. Yeah. Now, I don't know if I've ever heard of when a person's got convicted or they made a plea deal and the case is over, then on to the next. The lawyers, on to the next case. It's closed. It's done. They don't go and try to get another confession out of him, out of anybody. Have you ever heard of that? I don't know what they were trying to do, really. It just made things worse. Oh, they're intrigued and he's fascinated, and they've never met a person like him. Never? Never. I mean, all he did was confess. You've not known anybody just to confess and take a plea deal before? Because that's exactly what he did. Took a plea deal. And he was in his rights not to say nothing. So really, you go into the prison to interview him. It's like being harassed. But they must have heard something, what was going on inside this prison. Yeah, for them to, all three of them to go. Whose expense was that? Colorado's taxpayers at their expense? And they must have had the okay to do so. And what was the reason? What was the reason they said to get permission to go do this? Because somebody gave them permission to go do it, that it was okay to go there. And what was important for them to do so? Yeah, there was something, there's a reason why they went there. And I'm just sure that they heard something. Maybe an informant has said, he's been saying this and saying that. And that's why they went. There definitely was a reason why they went. And that's how I see that one. So, the Ruseks, Frankie talking, what do you think about that? Do you think he's just made things a little worse for himself? Because we know people that love crime, not love it, but, are intrigued by it and fascinated by why do people kill? What sends them off the edge? What is that spark, that the last straw? Do you know what I mean? The last straw. I can't take it anymore. I mean, there's a number of reasons. And, there's a lot of men killing their children these days. There's just a few in the news lately. They got divorced, or they're getting divorced, they're separated, and one parent is taking the kids away, or if I can't have them, you're not having them. Divorce or separation sends a trigger to a person, or people make it hard for them to see them, or they're given visitation and they are stopped from seeing their children. This sends them into a frenzy. I wish people would stop doing that. In most cases, you should just, you've had the kids together, you shouldn't fight over visitation. I believe in that. You shouldn't fight over your visitation and make rules, and you can see him on this time, you can see him on that time, and demand it, and then try to keep the kids away from each other and cause trouble that way. People should stop doing that. Try to work it out yourself and not let the courts do it for you. But sometimes people's lives are in danger and you've been abused, and Well, it's different circumstances for everybody. It's not one size fits all. You know, oh, well, one parent's got this and you got visitation every other weekend. It's a standard rule. It's not. You can work it out yourself, and you should make it easier on each other. And it would stop some problems. It would. You know, it's hard for a person to visit their kids if they're on a time limit. It doesn't always work that way. Maybe, on weekends they have to work, but they're off during the week. Why can't they have them during the week? You should come up with some different ways. Work it out yourself. I think that would help in the short term. Well, all this is going on, like separation and divorce and everything. And then, people want to take their kids out the country, or they want to take them suddenly out of another state and go back home, wherever they come from. This causes problems. I'm only just saying this because people should stop and think a little bit harder of what the consequences are. This is not about you, it's about the children. Now, the children love both parents most of the time, I'm saying. Most of the time. Now you snatch them away from this one, snatch them away from that one. And then you bring other people into relationship, and then the person that you're with starts making demands too, and starts causing trouble for the parent on visitation and all this and the other. Yeah, you gotta stop that. You gotta stop letting other people get into your business, into your arrangements with your own children. Don't let other people demand you do this and that, and I'll tell you when you see your kids or not. You can't let men or women coming into your life and change things. In fact, maybe you shouldn't date a person that's just separated, just divorced, and poke your nose into their business. Keep yourself out of other people's visitation. Yeah, that's what I say. Now, guys, thank you for stopping by and listening to this little rant here. But, pisses me off. There's a lot of people that can divorce and separate and go on with their life happily and share their children. In fact, it is their children. And so you shouldn't stop one seeing them more than the other. Maybe go about your life like you were doing before, except you're living in a different house. People lose their mind when they lose their kids. It's a stressful time. And they get stressed out because now they gotta pay for 2 homes, or do you know what I mean? 2 separate bills, because some people want to take every penny they can from a person, and then they can't live. Say they're on minimum wage or something, or just $12 an hour, and the courts demand you pay this and you pay that. They can't do it. And then that stops them seeing their children because they can't travel and they got to work more. It's a vicious circle. People should stop and think of consequences. I'm not saying this will work for absolutely everybody, but if a person's cheated on you and did this and that and said they've fallen out of love with you, some people can't handle it. But it's no good living with somebody if you're not in love with them neither. You know what I mean? So you should be adults and get over your anger and then move on and, be an adult about it. And it's for the children. It's not your feelings and what you've done to each other. Now you just have to bring your children up the best way you can. And when children get older and they begin to find out the truth, well, there's another set of trouble coming, because now they're going to start hating you for it. Oh yeah, they're going to hate one of you for doing what you did. And then you may end up with no relationship with your children, and then no relationship with your grandchildren because of what you did. And don't forget, these children are not children for long. They are adults longer than they are children. You will have a much longer life when they're adults. They're only children for a few years, and then they grow up and they will turn on you for messing their life up. Yeah, that was and then you'll lose them for good. Many times that happens. So you really got to think the consequences of when they get older, not in the moment. You got to think ahead. And I mean, think ahead. Because when they become teenagers, they can start making their own decisions. And they may not want to live with you anymore. So think about it, guys. It's something to think about. And thank you for stopping by, and I'll see you next time. And let's have a discussion on this video and your thoughts. Everybody's opinions welcome, because, we all think different. And so let's just have a friendly discussion about these type of things that goes on and how you end up dead because of it. And don't forget to like and share and sub to my channel. I appreciate it. Everybody that subbed to me. And see you next time.